Hi, welcome to the Peter Repeater episode 42. I am trying my best here. We've had some technical difficulties. I hope this works. If it continues not to work, I have no idea what to do. Anyway, check out my podcast on the interweb. Scared of saying any names here, at risk of having problems. Anyway, hopefully this works. Be really happy if it does work. So I got some friends to do a podcast with, and I'm going to go on their podcast, and we're going to have a good time, hopefully. My hope is they can come on my podcast, and I can have the video, everything set up, and we can talk to each other. That's the hope. So with all those things possible with the internet, that's pretty cool. They can be in America and I can be over here, and we can talk to each other on the podcast. So hopefully all those things work out. And so just another day quarantine. That's what everyone's talking about. Even the podcasts which aren't about it, they mention it. When is this going to open up? And they're talking about it in California, and it's just, I don't watch the news because I don't find it helpful. So, I'm fairly happy about life. I look forward to a good podcast. Some podcasts I watch just aren't the best. Other podcasts are really good. I should probably try a bit of Joe Rogan. That's probably my calling, is to try that, and hope that I can get some good entertainment out of life. Yeah. So all things considered, life is pretty good, and I hope I can just continue doing what I'm doing. I've got the podcasting every day, which I enjoy. I hope it continues to work. And then I've also got the other stuff happening. Other stuff? Yep. Just do some meditation, and I do some other stuff. It's going to be good, really. So what is this podcast about? People ask. I don't know. It's about, initially I said it was about my life and philosophy, because I was doing philosophy, and then now I'm saying it's about my life, talking about my life and ideas I hear from podcasts. I was busy last night uploading my podcast to audio versions. That took a while, so I'm hoping that I can just do something entertaining. Should probably watch The Last Dance on Netflix. It's probably a good use of my time, and just make the most out of life. Yep. Make the most out of life. This YouTubing is a bit of fun, and it's gonna be part of it all, part of my life, and part of the happiness that I feel, and everything will just hopefully just work out. Yeah. So things are good, and I want them to stay good. hopefully everything will stay good. Yeah, it's just all this talk about furlough and working from home and stuff. I don't know what I want really. I want to do something I like every day for the rest of my life. And I quite like my life at the moment. I used to think, oh, I'm just, not going to work. I used to think of it like that, but now I'm thinking, actually, it's more of a case of I'm doing this podcast now. I've got a routine. My life has its own special kind of purpose, and it just works out, makes sense. So I want to continue that. I want to continue making sense and making sure that my podcast continues to happen. And yeah, gonna have guests, not just gonna be me. Gonna have guests. We're gonna talk about stuff. We can talk about world events. We can joke around. Like on this podcast, it's called Winning Losers or something. And they talk about sports. Okay, over my head, some of it, but a lot of it. Trying not to sneeze because that'll pick up on the audio quite well. So yeah, it's just this Winning Losers podcast is pretty cool. And they do have like some bad advice. And I thought, oh, here's some bad advice. They try and give good advice, but they're like self-deprecating. It's going to be bad advice. But it's more than that. They actually genuinely are joking and they give bad advice. And I just hope I can contribute to it. I hope I can just make that advice a little bit worse. And then one that the podcast is this is the worst advice we've given in 5 episodes. I want the advice to get even worse in this bad advice segment. And yeah, just hoping everything will work out. Hoping that my audio quality will be good, and I'm hoping that I can join in with the podcast, because one of the guys on the podcast, he is obviously like using a phone, and it's not the best quality. It's like phone call quality, like people call up on the radio and stuff. So I want to have microphone quality. So I figure that out. I have got a microphone, so plug that bad boy into my phone, and then I've got studio quality, but with a phone. And then you also have to wear headphones to make sure that you don't have like resonance feedback of the people talking on their phone and then also on your phone. So just little audio stuff like that. So I'll be wearing my headphones and I'll be talking with my microphone and everything will work out. Yeah. And I'm just hoping they can be on my podcast and we can have videos. And it's the future. And then I think if people click on the video and you've got people talking to each other, I just think it's just a bit of fun. Obviously they would have to have like cameras, but everyone's got phones. They can just zoom, just all work out really. So got the podcast that I'm going to be a feature on. I was kind of hoping that they would give me like a shout out and it would boost my channel, but but it's a bit tenuous whether I would be boosting their channel or they would be boosting my channel. Who's giving who the shout out? Because they said they had like 5 listeners, and I don't know how you quantify my listeners on YouTube. I have less than 5 listeners, so maybe I should be honoured, and those 5 listeners can come over to my channel. I feel like I've got to bring my A game. I've got to perform on this podcast. I've got to bring my wittiness that I've been nurturing over many years. And I have a feeling, because I looked at the YouTubing dates and stuff, that they're older than me, like late 20s. So that's cool. Anyway, so I'll be. I'm living the dream. Forget Joe Rogan. There are these stand-up comedians that I'm about to be on their podcast. I'm going to be a guest on some people that are stand-up comedians. Well, one of them is. It's just they might both be stand-up comics. But they do open mic, and they like prepare the comedy, and you just see his open mic, and he's like going through all the jokes that he's already prepared, and he's like, "Where was I? Just remembering his place, and he's obviously practiced it a lot. So that's cool. I don't know if I did it open mic. I don't know what I would do. Difficult to make up jokes. I try not to just talk about random stuff. I feel like I would say a story and try and be funny about it. But it's an act, like it's an artwork. I don't know, you can master it, and you can master the art of comedy and be effective with your words. And you can, say a lot or say not very much. Say everything, say nothing. The comedy, stand-up comedy. I don't know if I'll be doing stand-up comedy, but in this open mic on YouTube, this my podcast buddy, obviously, he was just I haven't talked to, but he was just the mate doing these jokes, and this one girl's just laughing like crazy. The jokes weren't that funny, love. Calm down. No, I shouldn't say that. Jokes are funny. Funnier than I can do. Yeah. I haven't even tried, that's the thing. I'm living in the future. My stand-up comedy podcasting career, obviously, because I watch people, and now I'm doing it myself. Things are just gonna escalate, and I'm gonna be a professional podcasting comedian. Obviously, I don't need to be professional, but I'm doing it, It's cool. I enjoy it. So we've got May and June and July and August and months before I have any hope of joining the world of work or studying, or got my college course in September. So I got 4 months. Used to be 8 months, but I got 4 months of focus of podcasting. I could be preparing for the course, but life's too short. I just learn on the course, I guess. Yeah. So just prepare for all that. Not feel pressure. Don't want to work ever again, so I signed up to do studying. I don't know how I feel about anything. Work, no work. We'll see. We just need lucky things to happen. I need my life to go well, very well, everyone works. I still want to work, just do something I really enjoy, like podcasting or book signing. Found a mistake in my book, and some mistakes were like, oh, you're missing a question mark, or you haven't capitalized the H on the word he for God, or something like that. And then all of a sudden there's a word if, and it should be is, and I'm like, it's a published book now. What do I do? I suppose I could update it, but I don't want to mess around with it. So there's a mistake in my book. Oh well. There are a lot of mistakes in my book. There's about 50 to 100 of them that I corrected. So things could be worse. If I just always read my book to try and correct the mistakes, life would not be fun. I just want to read my book and enjoy it. Yeah. Get in there. Slowly reading. You just got to find the time. Today's written off. Well, I suppose I could read, one in my free time, but I just want to listen to Joe Rogan or something. Some podcasts are the best. 3 hours of pure gold magic entertainment is amazing. I wish every podcast was like that. And then you watch podcasts, and even if it's from people you like, you watch an hour and it's not very good. Obviously, they have a standard, but some of them just aren't very good. I could testify to that. Sometimes my podcast, I don't know. It's not for me to say, not for me to tell you whether my podcasts are good. I certainly don't listen to them, but then I live them, so I bet Joe Rogan doesn't listen to his podcasts because anyone really, because you were there talking. Yeah, I could see it. I shouldn't yawn. Sorry. I can see how people watch back their YouTube videos, like if they're short, but like our podcasts, nope. But some people have to watch through them. But that's if you've got producers. So I didn't sneeze on today's episode, but I did yawn. We shouldn't talk about yawning. So what can I do with my life? I don't know. I just have to trust in stuff. I won't get into technicalities of what stuff I'm trusting in, but I just got to trust in that stuff and just really put all my efforts in that stuff and just have a little bit of faith stuff. Just do all that stuff, and then hopefully something will happen, something good will happen, and then I can be like, yep, I'm doing my life's goal. What's wrong with me? Right, I just thought off a yawn. Yeah. So I just think, what's going to happen to the world? I don't know. I don't know what I want to happen to the world. I don't even know if I want it to go back to normal. What is normal? It's not necessarily good. I want things to be different. Make life interesting. I want there to be a excitement about life. What if this was it now? What if I'm just stuck at home for 3 years? It's a possibility. I don't see them lifting the lockdown soon, so could be 3 years. Do I want that to happen? Well, if that gives me the breathing space, if that gives me the time and ability to find an alternative source of income where I can not work, it's just my dream. It's like what you ask a child, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an architect. And then you ask me now, having had stuff like that in my head being thought of, you ask me now, what do I want to be? I want to do nothing. No, that's not true. I want to do podcasting. I want to do stand-up comedy. Yeah. Don't want to drive. Well, that's what I watched a little bit of Tesla, the self-driving cars interview with Lex Friedman and Elon Musk. Very interesting. He's like, yeah, it's like game, set and match. Tesla is going to get the driverless cars. No, they're driving, but they got driverless. Yeah, driverless cars, and it's just going to be awesome. Just having a car, not having to drive it. I just think it's really good. It just means that I can not drive in the future. It might take 5 years for the technology to exist where the cars are completely self-driving, and then it might take another 5 years for me to be able to afford the car. But it's just the future hope that if I can get by now without driving, I can I can not drive in the future. I was like, I didn't want to drive because of self-driving. I didn't want to learn to drive, but my parents encouraged me and I learned to drive, and I don't like it. But the good thing about it is that I got a driver's license. So as well as getting into nightclubs and having a bit more respect because it's not on learners, I can get a Tesla and because I've got a driver's license, and because you need a driver's license to get the self-driving car, which is a little bit counterintuitive, and one day you won't need it, but for the meantime you need a driver's license to be able to not drive it. And that is me in a nutshell. The car might cost 30 grand. Oh, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And the future is just going to be like, can't believe all those people are driving around those death machines, being able to run people over, and it's all up to human control. It's just not very safe, and there's accidents every year. Well, that's not really a stat. There's accidents daily. People die every day. That's more of a stat. And so many accidents. And the fact that I'm nervous about driving is a reasonable thing, because it's a nerve-wracking thing to do with your life in your hands. So I don't want to do it. If I get away with it, maybe I should. Yeah, but then if I go cycling is more dangerous because you get run over and people overtake you. So I just drive and run over the cyclist instead of me being run over. It's not official. I'm gonna be on someone else's podcast, an audio podcast. That's going to happen on Anchor.fm. That's going to happen. And then I'm going to hopefully... You've been on my podcast. Would you like to be on my podcast? No, I've been on your podcast. Thank you very much for having me. Would you like to be on my podcast? And they will say yes, hopefully. Because they're not just a random person that might not want to show their face. They're podcast enthusiasts. And it'll be exposure for them, obviously, on my channel. Exposure. Shout out. And they'll be on my podcast and we'll be talking to each other. We could have a longer form because I won't run out of things to say. A little bit of a longer show, and it won't be Joe Rogan, but it might be The Fighter and the Kid in terms of length. Joe Rogan's like 3 hours and The Fighter and the Kid's an hour and a half, so we could do a cool hour and a half. Have the videos pop up and everything on Zoom and get that running. That would be cool. I'm looking forward to that. And I thought I'll be on their podcast first so we can get the awkwardness out of the way on their podcast. And then they can be on my podcast when we're all chilled, when we're all best friends, and yeah. This could be the start of something good. It could be the start of a running stream of guests. Yeah. Could be a start of, weekly guests from all over the world, and I could have, Ricky Gervais and Russell Brand, Joe Rogan, and all these people. It'd be cool. And I know it's not as good as having people in the studio. I don't have a studio, but it's just a phrase, that we use in the business. Just in the studio. Just it's not as good as the video chat is. It's not as good as just live in the studio because you can see the person and you don't talk over each other and stuff like that. But we can figure it out. Zoom will be pretty cool. Yeah, we can get that up and running, and hopefully be good quality, and hopefully people watch that and start thinking, shouting each other out. So, because all I need is to be associated with somebody who's doing well. So I don't necessarily, if I'm friends with these American guys, these comedians, I like saying comedians, even though they did an open mic 9 years ago. But if I'm friends with these comedians, then that means that obviously I'm happy and stuff. But that means it's not just me hoping that I gain an audience. If they gain an audience all of a sudden, then they could help me out. So it's doubling the chances. It's like getting 2 raffle tickets. And what do you win? An audience. Believe me, there's not much better than an audience. It's that, I don't know, it's just that satisfaction of, it's just what it's designed for, Nobody makes podcasts necessarily just like as a history diary type thing. Oh, what's happened here? I've had a bit of an interesting happening. We'll try and get this up and running. Give me a second. Yeah, so I don't know whether things are working obviously we're in the studio and everything's up and running. Yeah. Yeah, life isn't perfect. Yeah, so for my audio listeners, we ran into some technical difficulties. Yep. It's more or less okay. My audio listeners. Don't give up hope. I gave up hope before, and that's not good. I need to just persevere. Just keep it going, because it might not be this week. It might not be next week. It might not be the week after. But one week, one day, things could go very well on my YouTube show. And I don't know if it's a show, but my podcast. And I just got to keep up the work, just in case that happens. The work. It's just... You've got to dedicate time in the day for it, you know? Like anything, really. It's a, it's a good thing to do. And just got to keep up the work, keep up the routine, and hopefully it'll work out. I don't know what I mean by work out. I don't know what I'm hoping for. Do I want to be as big as Joe Rogan? Probably not. Do I want, say, a few people to watch regularly? That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not dreaming big, I'm just dreaming a little bit. I just wonder, this podcasting setup, I just wonder how entertaining it is for the listeners. I think the podcast is always, it's got varying degrees of entertainment. The listening to it, obviously it matters what you say and stuff like that, but listening to it is not as entertaining as watching it. And having one person on the podcast is nowhere near. This is my whole podcast so far, so this is why I'm hoping to have guests. But one person is nowhere near as good as having people talking to each other. That's so much better, and that's going to happen. So maybe it's best that I figure out the content before I start delving into people watching, or just get this running well, get a good setup, get a people on the podcast, people to talk to. We talk about everything: conspiracies, coronavirus. Those aren't related. 5G. No, we won't talk about any of that. We'll just talk about how everything works well, and we're gonna be happy. I don't know. I just figure it's a lot easier to talk to a couple of people than just by myself. It's going to be way more interesting. Even if we're boring, it's going to be way more interesting. So this podcast, I'm just counting down the days. It's not very long away. I'm doing this on Monday. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy about that. What is it? Thursday today. So 1 Friday, Saturday, 2 Sunday, 3. 4 days. 4 days. I can cope with that. It will work out. Everything will be fine. Hopefully we won't run into technical difficulties. We probably will. But hopefully not. We can get this up and running. We can get this Zoom meeting. I get my friends on. We can have a good time. It's getting friends in the first place. That's the difficult thing. Getting people who actually want to be on a podcast. And I finally found that. Finally found some companions to do my podcast. And that's a remarkable thing. Very happy. So what can I say? YouTube's great. You can upload, you can watch, spend a long time on YouTube. Should probably venture in the world of Netflix and stuff. But it's not the most important thing. I just hear so many people talk about shows like Tiger King, and maybe I should be watching that, but it just doesn't seem very helpful. Very popular show. Yeah, Ricky Gervais got a good show. Afterlife, that's good. Still got an episode of that I can watch. The Midnight Gospel I watched in like 2 or 3 days. That was very good. Rick and Morty kind of level of good. I enjoyed that. Crazy animation, but 100% worth it. So this life that I live, it's just a thing that I quite like. Do like life. It's remarkable. I've come so far, like personally and stuff. Life hasn't always been my favourite, but I like it now. Yeah, it's good. I can I just need to work out. It's like everyone else my age, just work out what to do with my adult life. Figure something out. Become a comedian. You figure it out, and then you have something to do with your life, something to do with your time. That's what I'm hoping for. And I just got to try. If you don't try, then what's the point? You know? Try and better your situation. Don't just do more of the same. Like, try and redirect your life. This is not a motivational video, but it's just that's what I'm hoping for. Hoping this lockdown lasts for my 20s maybe, and then I can figure out this podcasting, monetize it, and then we can get into the swing of doing something I genuinely like. I can just imagine the future of like having my own studio with like a pool table and like a gym, and having people come to the studio, and I got producers doing all the technical stuff for me, so there's no problems, and we can just talk to people and have like 3-hour conversations. That's what I want. And there isn't a need to do stand-up comedy or anything, because I don't need to be funny. I can just talk about stuff. I don't know what I'm going to bring to the table with this podcast. I'm going to say, so what do you think about the coming apocalypse? Yeah, I've got to think of bad advice. Something will come out. I don't think I have there. I don't need to perform. I just need to be myself and hope they want to do another podcast with me. That's all I need. That's all I need. So everything's all good. We'll do my outro. I have an outro. I just promote everything. Just fill up the time and to promote everything. So if I can talk. Yeah, so promoting everything. Thank you for listening and watching. I've got my podcast on Anchor.fm that uploads to Spotify and everything, or just Spotify at the moment. And then I've got so it's the Peter Repeater, and I've got a book, and there it is. I show it every day now. An Unbelievable God by Peter Newing, Newing. Get my book on Amazon. It's a good read. I think it is anyway. And Twitter at the Pete Repeater, And check out also on Anchor.fm at Winning Losers. I'll be on their podcast soon, hopefully, in a week's time maybe. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Instagram at Peter Newing. This is the Peter of Peter. I'll see you tomorrow. All going well. Thank you. We'll get this audience. You only need one person for it to be an audience. So, if you're watching this retrospectively, you have given me the audience that I desire. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye.